So it is now 6:32 p.m. My name is Chad Royer. I want to welcome everyone to Bronx Community Board 7's Veterans Committee. I hope everyone is safe and well. I want to start by reading off the guidelines. So good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Chad Royer, Chair of the Veterans Committee. The committee agenda is as follows. Jade, are you able to share the agenda real quick? Jade, are you able to share the agenda?
Yes, it's loading. 1 second.
Got you. Thank you. So the agenda today is we have followers from the previous month from Fordham Village, Kingsbridge Terrace, VA, and DVS. We also have a presentation on Orisha wholeness with Ms. Pascal Pierre. And we also have a presentation on traumatic stress and resilience in veterans from Dr. Michael Turbin, PhD, with Weill Cornell. And we also have updates on events taking place in May and June. That would be Bronx Victory Memorial flagging, Woodlawn Cemetery, and Veterans Resource Fair in June. Thank you for that, Jade. So as we continue, on March 21st, 2023, Mayor Adams issued Executive Order 363, extending the state of emergency through April 21st, 2023. Accordingly, boards are able to continue to act under the state of emergency section of the video conferencing law, chapter 56, part WW. This will allow board to continue remotely. Minutes and video recording will be made available on our website. If you are calling into the meeting on the conference, controls while joining from landline or cell by calling dial-up number. To hear all available commands, enter ** on your phone. *6 will mute or unmute. *9 will virtually raise your hand. How we run this meeting is as follows. Code of conduct. Bronx Community Board 7 has the right to remove and or ask members of the public to leave a meeting or block participation of anyone who engages in inappropriate conduct, including but not limited to obscene or offensive images or language, personal attacks, threats, or any other behavior that reasonably impedes the orderly administration of the meeting. Repeated offenses will be reviewed by the board's executive committee or any other assigned committee for a ban of the participants, the amount of time to be objectively determined by the above committees in the event of repeated disruptive behavior. If in-person outbursts or attacks continue, this will be considered disturbing the peace and the authorities shall be summoned. Everyone besides the speaker or presenter will stay muted throughout the meeting. After each presentation is over, I will inquire if committee members have questions. Committee members will signify that they have a question by pressing the raised hand button on your screen or request to speak through the chat or when the chair opens the floor. Members of the public who have joined through the online link will be able to ask questions and make a brief statement on the item after each presentation and after the committee has had an opportunity to ask clarifying questions by pressing the raise hand button on your screen or request to speak through the chat or when the chair opens the floor. Only those recognized by the chair of the committee will be allowed to speak during the allotted time. We will stay on topic with the agenda items. Any other items will be acknowledged by the chair under new business or addressed at the next meeting, granted there is time and the committee agrees on the topic. Following the questions, discussion, and public comment portion, the committee will begin their discussions after each presentation or agenda item and will conclude with a decision to vote on recommendation. When the agenda is finished, the meeting will be adjourned. If there are any questions related to meeting software or to our process, please use the chat function or raise hand function now, or contact the Deputy District Manager. Now, I just want to go over a quick roll call of all the committee members. So I have Chad Royer present, Jean Hill,
Jean Hill present.
Toby Buford,
Toby Buford present.
Emmanuel Asamoah,
Yeah, Emmanuel Asamoah present.
Hugo Gonzalez. I think he's actually coming on later. So we have a quorum. Thank you. So next we have the approval of the minutes. Let's see if we can upload the minutes on the screen. Thank you, Jade. Committee members, have you had a chance to look at it? You can scroll down. You can scroll down. Any comments? I'll entertain a motion for approval.
No comments. I'll move for the motion for the approval of the minute.
I second that.
Okay. Any objection?
Objection.
None. None. So the minutes passed as presented. I'm sorry. Serial, you had your hand up?
Well, I'm not on the board and I apologize for not being there. What was that thing about the graffiti something? It went by so fast, I couldn't even read it.
Oh, that is, if I can just pull that up. I'll pull it real fast. Oh, I don't have it. Could you share that again real quick, Jade? This was something that Pastor Crespo was discussing. Right there. So June 17th, there's an art exhibit with Bronx graffiti. The address is 3266 Bainbridge Avenue. They mentioned it at the last meeting.
And that had something to do with the veterans?
Yes.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Pastor Crespo is part of that organization.
And I assume they're not talking about vandalized graffiti then.
No, not at all.
Yeah, well, that's a poor choice of words. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry to have to hold up the meeting. Let's
Thank
move on for the vets.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so on the agenda, let's go over some updates. Do we have anyone from Fordham Village on the call? No. Do we have anyone from Kingsbridge Terrace on the call? No. Anyone from DVS, Department of Veteran Services, on the call?
Yes, Andre Sharico here from Department of Veteran Services.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. Do you have any updates or news for us?
No, sadly I don't. We're still doing a lot of quiet things in-house, getting certain things planned out for our next steps. Is one of the main reasons we have to do this is for financial purposes. We are very low on funding for things, So we had to kind of just reorganize and try to figure out how we're going to do things moving forward with the small budget where we already have. So at this moment, no, but we're looking to change that in the next few months or so with different events and stuff like that. So we'll keep you guys posted.
Sounds good. Thank you. And thank you for joining us today.
Not a problem. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone from the VA that has an update? Anyone from the VA?
Hi, Tara here from the VA research team. I just want to know if that's a separate item or if that's what you're addressing.
Not, yeah, you can share some info with us. Welcome. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having us back. We greatly appreciate having the opportunity to speak with you guys and hear some feedback. So for those I haven't had the opportunity to speak with before, my name's Tara Osterberg. I'm a clinical research coordinator at the VA in the Bronx, and I'm here with my collaborator, Reagan Sweeney, who's also a coordinator on research. Our research focus is in helping veterans to better understand the relationship between mental health and brain function, particularly examining the effect of a mild head injury or a mood disorder, such as depression, or an experience like PTSD, which might have an impact on suicidal ideation and behavior. Our department's focus is on curbing suicidal behavior in veterans, finding ways that we can reach the community and improve clinical care. Our focus is through research. So our studies are all paid. Any veteran who qualifies is welcome to participate. We do offer transportation if veteran has a hard time getting to the Bronx VA for a research study. I'll be sure to leave my number and email address in the group chat here if anyone has any questions. I know that some folks have been helping us out with recruitment, and I greatly appreciate that. Not a lot of people are aware of what the Bronx VA can offer in terms of research opportunities for veterans. We can offer clinical diagnostic interviews free of charge. We make referrals. We get people a chart expedited through the Bronx VA enrollment care. We get MRIs that become part of someone's baseline medical record. And of course, all of this is compensated for a veteran's time. So I greatly appreciate being able to be here, and thanks so much.
Thank you. I did have a question from the last time that you had a presentation.
Absolutely.
I believe some of the flyers, I think it was 2 of them, had an expiration date of 2022. And I was wondering if those flyers are still in circulation with the August 2023 expiration date.
I can update those for you. So the institutional review board just gives us versions. All those flyers are still valid in the sense that those projects are still ongoing, but I'm happy to provide more freshly stamped institutional review board papers. Thank you for pointing that out. All those studies are still ongoing. That's correct, but I will make sure that I get you updated flyers. They shouldn't be any different. They'll just have a new stamp on them.
That would be great. And if you're able to share in the chat with some of the folks on here, that would be great as well. And you can also send them by email.
Happy to do it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. So that concludes our follow-ups. Now, we do have 2 presenters today. Let's get to presentation on Orisha Wholeness. We have Ms. Pascal Pierre, who is the president of Orisha. The floor is yours. Can you unmute? Let's try this
Good
again.
evening, everyone. My name is Shelley. I am the Vice President and Board Chair of Orisha Wholeness. I'm here with the President, Pascal Pierre. And we're just going to talk a little briefly about our organization. So I hope you don't mind me giving just a little overview. We'll keep it short because we understand how busy you are. And I hope you can hear me because I'm outside. So once again, thank you for inviting us to speak this evening. Orisha Wholeness, we're a health and wellness organization. We were founded by residents in the Bronx. And what we do is we provide health and wellness activities for free and low cost in the Bronx. We provide everything from Zumba to salsa to yoga, body conditioning, because we know how important it is in the Bronx to get healthy and to stay healthy. So we know how expensive some of these places are, so we do that for free. In addition, we provide nutritional training, financial literacy, And why we're here tonight is because we also do special events in Poe Park. We do health and wellness events where we do fitness classes. We have vendors that come. And so tonight, Pascal is going to talk a little bit about this great project that we have coming up on the 17th. Pascal?
Thank you, Shelley. So the reason we wanted to do that project, I work at the Bronx VA Hospital, and I'm part of the resilience program, and the resilience program deals with veterans with mental health. They kind of help them to get over their mental health problems. And I provide the exercise part of the resilience program, but through talking to veterans, especially with COVID-19, one of the things that they have missed the most is socializing with other veterans, being able to go outside and just enjoying the fresh air. A lot in all our classes outside, we noticed that we don't have a lot of veterans. So that's kind of an effort from our part to see if we can bring more veterans into our classes and our events. So we would like to do an event geared towards veterans. It's called Veterans Appreciation Day. It would be Saturday, June 17th, Saturday, June 17th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So during that event, we would like to invite veterans to come out just to have a great day of fun, enjoy themselves. We would be providing different type of classes, line dance, yoga, meditation. We would have music, food, drinks for them. So we wanted to present that project and just invite everybody to join us and help us to get the word around to veterans. And we're also looking for vendors. If you want to have a table, if you want to provide any type of services, you are more than welcome to contact us. Chad has a flyer, so I don't know, Chad, if you will be sharing the flyer at some point.
Sure. You can also, if you're able to, you can also share them on the chat, if you're able to.
I'm on my cell phone. I have no idea how to do that.
Okay, okay, I got
But
you.
I can send it to you again. But I will post our website on the chat. You can go on our website, orishawholeness.org, and everything that we're doing is on there. So if you wanna sign up for that event, you can also do so on our website.
Thank you, thank you. So I have a question. So any veteran who wants to join us, or do they sign up or could they just show up?
They can just show up. It's open to everyone. So they can just show up that day.
I see.
Yes.
Any committee members have questions? No questions?
Is it absolutely free to show up or?
Yes, it's absolutely, everything is free to all veterans. Everything will be provided for free. We are partnering with the Bronx VA and some other community organizations, so we can bring a lot of activities and stuff for the veterans. We have a few vendors already confirmed, but if any other vendors want to come in, they can come. But all veterans are just coming.
What about non-VAs?
Non-VAs are all welcome as well. This is more geared towards veterans, but if you're not a veteran, you are more than welcome to come. We do have weekly classes and events at Poe Park all the time, and everybody's welcome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Toby, you had your hand up?
I was wondering if there's a rain date.
Yeah,
or will it be moved into the Veterans Hospital if it's raining?
the rain date is June 24th, the following Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday, June 24th.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Sirio, I think you had your hand up earlier.
No, I think she answered my question. It's supposed to be an event, so I figured out the location. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, any more questions? No? So I want to thank you for sharing that information with us. And we will circulate that flyer. I'll dig my email and circulate the flyer
Okay.
to us all. And you guys can also reach out to me if you don't have my email already, and I can send it out to you. One thing I did want to ask. So family members of veterans also could partake in the event.
Yes. Yes, they can. So veterans are welcome. They can bring their family members. They can bring their children. We're gonna have an area for children where they can do arts and crafts and different type of games. And other areas for adults where they can participate in games, different activities, music, and performances.
And one other question I just thought of, will there be any kind of complimentary screenings of any kind?
At this point, no, but if you want to work with me on doing that, we certainly can.
Because I'm just thinking this could present an opportunity to engage veterans in something that they would need that's health related. I only bring that up as a thought.
Oh,
If you
absolutely.
know-
We're open to that. So absolutely. If you want to work with us on that, we will. We're also working with POPA, New York City Parks and Recreation.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure what we would need, but we can work with them on providing that. It's a great idea.
Yeah, if you know someone that we should definitely reach out to provide some screening, let us know, and then we'll go ahead and we'll reach out to them.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, I wanna thank you for giving us this wonderful information today. Sorry about that. I want to thank you all for attending and sharing this information. And feel free to stay for the rest of the meeting as we have another presenter that's here as well. And we'll definitely catch up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chad.
Thank you,
We
Shelley.
appreciate having us.
Oh, you're
Yes,
welcome.
thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So next on the agenda, we have another presentation regarding trauma and traumatic stress and resilience in veterans with Dr. Michael Turman. Am I seeing your name right? Dr. Michael Turman?
Yep, correct. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
So the floor is yours and welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Royer. Thank you to everybody on the call. I really appreciate you having me. I do have a few slides that I prepared, so I just wanted to share my screen with everybody, if that's okay.
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay. Can everybody see this and hear me okay?
I can see it.
Yes,
All right.
I can see it in here.
Perfect. Thank you. So my name is Dr. Michael Turman. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm a postdoctoral fellow, and I work at New York Presbyterian's Military Family Wellness Center at the Weill Cornell campus. And today I want to talk to you briefly about traumatic stress and resilience in veterans, how we can recognize it, and some concrete steps that we can take within the community to address some veterans' needs. So I want to say thank you very much to Mr. Royer and the Bronx Community Board 7 for having me here today. I want to also thank Dr. DeFede. Some people might have met her at the Veterans Wellness Summit at Manhattan College recently. And before anything, I want to thank all of our veterans because this talk would not be possible today without their service. I am currently a postdoctoral fellow of psychology and psychiatry at Weill Cornell. I did not receive any funding for this. I do not have any conflicts of interest to disclose. If anybody wants to reach out to me after this talk, my door is always open. I'm always up for continuing the conversation, and you can reach me at mit9053@med.cornell.edu. So just as a brief overview, I'm only going to take a few minutes today, but I'm going to hit some key points, stress and challenges that are experienced in veterans, some common reactions, some coping strategies that we can highlight, really the importance of community, which I think is a central point here today, and available treatment. And then we can end with a discussion if anybody has any questions. So a little bit about me first, just so you get a sense of who I am. I completed a PhD in clinical psychology at LIU Brooklyn. I completed an APA accredited internship at the Miami VA Medical Center, where I worked extensively on their PTSD clinical team. And I'm currently completing a fellowship at Weill Cornell Medicine's program for anxiety and traumatic stress studies. And there I work at the Military Family Wellness Center. I was actually there before as a graduate student as well. I spent 2 years as a trainee before returning. So a lot of veterans experience challenging events or periods of time throughout their service. This can sometimes contribute to feelings of anxiety, feeling down, depressed, or stressed. A lot of people think that these challenges are exclusive to sort of traumatic events that might happen in the military. But one thing that I really want to point out today is that the transition to life in the military and out back into the community and back to civilian life can also be very difficult and very challenging for our veterans at times. Reintegration with family and the community, and or starting a new chapter in one's life can also be very difficult at times as well. So just a little bit of a note on transition-related stress. So veterans are at higher risk for developing PTSD and associated mental health conditions relative to civilians. But like I just mentioned, there's a piece of this where the transition into and out of a military identity and transition back into the civilian community can be just as challenging, if not more challenging at times. There's been a little bit of a lack of attention in research at this specific concept, but recently that's been shifting a little bit. A few of the things that we know from that research are that there's certain factors associated with folks with veterans who might experience that transition-related stress. That can be a perceived need for order and structure. That can also be perceptions and stereotypes of veterans within the civilian community. And that can also be socialization into and out of military culture. Now, military culture is a very broad thing. It can be specific to branch, to service, to level. So there's a lot of different factors, but it can be very individualized to the person. There was a large 2016 study, so fairly recently, that looked at military veterans in the United States 3 years post-separation. And they actually found that there was a notable significant decline in health outcomes and self-reported well-being. So what this is telling us is when veterans come back and reintegrate into the community, that they are facing clinically significant challenges. The reason why I bring this up is because the community resources and the community organizations, like the one I have the pleasure of speaking at today, are really critical in deploying and intervening in the community so that we can improve health outcomes in our veterans, and specifically mental health outcomes. There can also be some difficulty accessing care because of some stigma within the military around mental health care. There can also be specific challenges with veterans who might want to arrange activities in particular ways. I know that when I worked at the VA, a common thread that I would hear is that people like to avoid crowded areas, shopping or running errands at off-peak times, avoiding traffic, hanging out at places that are safe and that can, provide a sense of vigilance, and with people who are knowledgeable and who are aware of their surroundings, and people who our veterans feel safe with. That can be a really good thing, but that can also sometimes get in the way of veterans' lives in other ways. So I think that special attention should be really placed on the importance of community interventions and some of the resources that we're offering in a boots on the ground sort of way. In addition to some of the transition related stress, there are a number of veterans who will be exposed to particularly challenging events, and we would consider these traumatic. This can occur in the context of a war zone, sensitive area deployments, or in the context of military sexual trauma. So a large study of veterans, also very recent, good quality study, noted that about 21 to 29% of veterans at some point in their life will experience clinically significant PTSD. The feelings and reactions that are part of PTSD are not abnormal, and they are not uncommon, and there are good treatments available for these. Some of the common reactions that might be part of the clinical presentation of PTSD include a sense of not fully being present, a sense that a part of a person is frozen, loss of interest in things, feeling disconnected from others, avoiding things that remind them of the event or the period of time where they experienced it, feeling isolated or guilty, feeling irritable or having trouble concentrating, or even just having trouble being at rest or sleeping. I just covered some of these symptoms, but we can categorize them in 4 different ways. They're intrusive symptoms, so thoughts or memories coming back out of the blue. Avoidance, so not wanting to go to certain places that might be reminding the veteran of the event that happened. Arousal symptoms, so difficulty sleeping, irritability, trouble calming down, trouble regulating oneself in certain situations, and changes in thoughts and feelings. So this can really manifest as depression symptoms, difficulty getting pleasure out of life. And this can look different for everybody. Everybody has a different kind of picture. One thing that I want to talk about and really highlight today as well is that resilience is a very important factor in light of some of these challenges and some of these stressors. So one angle is that these events do happen with some frequency and they do bring a lot of challenges, but they also represent enormous opportunities for people to reevaluate their lives, take stock of what's working and what's not working, and move towards values. Resilience is a process. It's not a switch that flips on and off. It's a consistent process that needs to be returned to and reassessed. The first step in this process is assessing what happened and how it impacted us. The second step is uncovering what needs to be healed. And actually, there might be other parts of us that have been strengthened. We might find that there's a part of us that's been wounded, but there's also a part of us that we didn't know was so strong. Actively nurturing the parts that need to be healed, but also actively working the strengths that we've discovered. And reevaluating how we feel about both the healing and the strengthening processes, how these are playing out in our lives, if they're working, if they're not working, and then rinsing and repeating that. So going back to step 1 and reassessing. And this is a process that happens in so many ways each and every day. There are some concrete things that we can do to help this process along, not only in our own lives, but in order to help our veterans, to encourage our veterans to get in touch with some of these things to build resilience in their own lives. Some very simple and very effective things are getting connected, so building strong relationships with loved ones and friends who can support and guide a person, setting clear, achievable goals, so living every day with meaning and purpose. That doesn't have to be anything too crazy. It can just be deciding that you're really going to enjoy a cup of coffee or going on a walk one day, but doing something with intent and that you can really enjoy. Learning from the experience. So thinking about how you've coped with challenges in the past, and that you actually have some skills and strategies that have helped you in the past, and there's a good chance that they can help you again. Remaining hopeful. So although you can't change the past, you can look toward the future, and accepting and even anticipating change can make it easier when life throws us curveballs or things that we're not really expecting. It can grow that sense of resilience and adaptation to challenges. Really, what I really want to highlight here is encouraging our veterans to take care of themselves, paying attention to needs and feelings, really being gentle with ourselves. I think we live in a really fast-paced society these days, especially living in New York. It's, the pace is nuts sometimes. So it's really important to just slow down and be gentle with yourself sometimes. And that can be in a number of ways: staying active, getting good quality sleep, being mindful of the foods that you're eating. And then finally, being proactive. So if there's a problem, if there's something that needs to be addressed, working through it, picking a strategy and taking some action. Although it can take time, and it usually does take some time to recover from major challenges, a lot of these things can be worked through with this strategy in mind. That brings me to the last point, which is, well, not the last point just yet. I'll get into treatment in a minute. But just to recap, one of the things that I really, really want to mention here, if this is the only take-home point of the entire presentation, is that community is critical. So both being engaged in the veteran community and in other communities like this community, where we can facilitate social support, because we know that really buffers stress and improves resilience. This can look a lot of different ways for different people. This can be friends from the military, friends made along the way, family and friends back home. But one critical thing is it can also be new friends. So neighborhood communities, spiritual or religious communities, activities, striking up a conversation with someone who you're running into in the neighborhood a lot, going to things like community gardens, animal shelters. These can be really important things for people. And finally, evidence-based psychotherapy treatments are available. So at the New York Presbyterian Military Family Wellness Center at Weill Cornell, we offer short-term evidence-based treatments for veterans and their families. These are the gold standard treatment of what we know from the research in treating traumatic stress, and they are offered to our veterans regardless of discharge status and free of charge. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for having me. And if there's any questions, I am all ears.
So thank you. Thank you for that presentation. I have a few questions myself just from reading this. I think one of them you answered, if it's free and if it's regardless of status. But what kind of reach can your division make with family members of veterans?
So
Or is it strictly for veterans themselves?
that's a very good question. Yeah, we do offer services for veteran family members and spouses as well.
Okay, this is good. This is good. And do you by chance have any other flyers or something that you can share so that other veterans, if they want to participate in getting services from Weill Cornell?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to. I have your email, so I will. I'll follow up with you offline and
Okay, great,
give you some resources. Absolutely.
great. So let me see, does any committee members have any questions or comments? Jean, Emmanuel, Hugo? Jean, your
Yeah,
hand
I
up.
actually do have, I think it was an excellent presentation, Dr. Thurman. Do you cover military service people from all eras of the wars, or, you know, being in the service from Vietnam all the way up to today, or even going back to even say some Korean veterans who might still be, you know, around? How far back do they cover?
Yes, absolutely. So there's no limit on coverage in that respect. We've had the pleasure of working with even some World War II veterans, so there's no limits.
And then as far as the families are concerned, because whatever issues the veterans might be dealing with, the family deals with the same issues. And it has its own impact on their stress levels and, you know, what's happening within the family, which is probably, and I don't know this for a fact, is why some veterans become homeless, because the families can't cope with some of their issues, not understanding what the issues are, or, you know, what they can do to help. And then the veterans can shut themselves off because they don't want to talk about a lot of this stuff. So how deep do you go into helping the families try to understand what the veteran is dealing with, or how it has impacted them also?
It's a very excellent question. Yeah, and something that we have definitely noted in some of the clinical contexts. You know, it's tricky. It's a balance because we want to make sure that we're respecting privacy and HIPAA and things like that. But to the degree that is clinically indicated and that the veteran is comfortable with it, we really try to be as comprehensive as possible. So if there's the opportunity and everybody is comfortable with it, definitely involving family is something that we can do, and trying to be as proactive as possible. and really equipping with veterans, even if they're not comfortable necessarily with bringing family into the treatment, but really encouraging them and equipping them with strategies to talk through how some of these symptoms are impacting their relationships with their family so that they can maintain those social supports in their lives.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Toby, you have your hand up?
Yes. So I am a daughter of a vet. He is no longer with us. But my question is, because I have other relatives that are vet. As a family member of a vet that is experiencing a post-traumatic stress, what is something that we should look for, and what is something that we can do quickly to help that person feel good? Your presentation was it was excellent. But for me, I want to be able to have a quick fix at my ready, or all of us, and then this way we could hopefully help other family members, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great question. I would say, there's a number of things, and a few different things came to mind, but I think one of the most critical things for people, and something that I hear repeatedly, is really asking what the person needs, and maintaining that relationship, whether or not they want to engage in that moment. So it's not uncommon for veterans and other people who have PTSD or anxiety symptoms to feel overwhelmed sometimes, or to not really know what is going on for them. And so while it can seem that they really need help and immediate intervention in that moment, checking in with them and seeing where they're at and really what they need, so it can foster a sense of control for them, that you can sort of collaborate with helping them to control their experience, if that makes sense. I think that people can really respect when other people are trying to help them, but it can also sometimes add to some of the overwhelm that happens. So really, I think the bread and butter of what I'm saying is to just keep the lines of communication open, even if it's difficult sometimes.
Okay.
Thank you. Serial, your hand is up.
Yes, thank you very much. That was a very nice presentation. I have like two questions. Are you in any way affiliated with the Kingsbridge Veterans Hospital? Do you do outreach there? Is my first question.
No, I'm not.
Okay, because that's where all our veterans are. And I doubt a lot of them are going to get on anywhere to go down to you. My second question is, as you can see by the amount of people on this Zoom, and we have many veteran buildings in our immediate area of Community Board 7, how do you really reach out and get those who are suffering from this symptom and won't respond for help or reach out for help? That's what really the thing is. The people who secretly stay withdrawn and don't reach out for help, being because they were in the service and they feel no one understands them, or that they got to man up, so to speak. Quotes on that, because we do have women in the service. And it's very stressful, and a lot of people don't acknowledge the fact that they have a stress-related problem. What could you recommend is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. I don't know if I have a concrete recommendation. I think this is a complex problem, and it's something that I think is worth further discussion and further strategizing. And so I'm wondering if it would be good to continue this conversation, specifically with this group, and if we can sort of put our heads together to think about ways that we can improve outreach within the community. Because it is, you're right, there are a lot of people who are isolated and do not seek the services that they need. And it's an ongoing problem because we can only reach those people who hear about us and who know about us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can you
So
put the phone number in the contacts?
Sure, absolutely. And I'll send along a flyer detailing some of our services as well.
sure, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all. Appreciate
So,
it.
so I just wanted to respond real quick, right before I go to you, AJ. I would like to say with some bias that we would be a great start to continue these conversations on addressing the well-being of our veterans and our veteran families. Because at any given time, we don't know who's going to be on the call, who needs to hear the info that we have to say. Personally, I'm not a veteran, but I've grown to learn that suicide has been one of the biggest challenges dealing with, because once someone makes the decision to do it and they succeed, then they're gone. So I think you raise a good point that, you know, your service is available. How are we able to reach folks? And I think we just need to continue the conversations and then eventually come up with action plans with some, hopefully producing some tangible results. So yeah, you're more than welcome to join us every month. I'll send you the invites, and you could be you could be a member of our committee. We would love that. AJ, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Sir, we can hear you.
Yes, similar to what Mr. Chad and what Mr. Serio said, with Don't Ask, Don't Tell and the service members being kicked out for who they love, a lot of them don't feel connected at all with being even called a veteran. If you have any information on that or helping with that, that would be lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you. Any more? Sorry, go ahead.
I wanted to take a moment to address that question or that comment. Yeah, I think that, you know, I really want to underscore that veterans can have complex relationships to the military. And that is something that we need to be mindful of as well. And it's something that we can, you know, I think clinically, I'm always mindful of in the room with veterans, but it is another additional angle to be thinking about as we continue the conversation and think about outreach.
Yes, sir. I recently gave the board a presentation about putting up a pride flag at the Bronx Victory Memorial in honor of Don't Ask, Don't Tell and the service members that fought silently. There was a little bit of animosity about putting it there. I think it would be a great time to address the horrors of the past and for healing and processing. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't have any thoughts on that right now.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions? Dr. Turman, it was a pleasure having you. We hope you come again soon. We have a few more updates, so if you can, please stay on the call, if you can. So we have a few other items real quick. Jade put some information in the chat. I don't know if everyone has seen it. The events that we have the Veterans Flag, the Bronx Victory flagging event, which will be on May 13th. This will be May 13th at 11 o'clock. This will be at the Bronx Victory Memorial. For those who may not know where that is, that's on Moshulu and Marion Avenue. Let me see if I can repost it here. No, that's the other one. Can y'all see the posts in the chat?
It's there, Chad. I see it there.
Okay, good.
I see.
We also have Veterans Resource Fair on June 3rd. That'll actually take place at the Fordham Library. The flyer says start time at 10 o'clock. I believe it's going to be a little bit later than that, but mark that date on your calendars, June 3rd. I believe the time frame might end up being a little after 11, but as the time goes along, we'll update it. So we're going to be inviting vendors, possibly around 15 vendors who can share a space and provide some valuable resources to our veterans in attendance. So folks, anyone has questions about that, feel free to reach out to me on that. We also have the Woodlawn Cemetery flagging for those who would be interested in placing flags at the grave sites at Woodlawn Cemetery. We actually did this last year, and I know AJ was there, Hugo was there. It was hot, but it was rewarding. We were able to place some flags at some of the grave sites of the veterans. We're opening up to the public. So if anyone wants to join in, that's going to be May 24th, which is a Wednesday at 10 a.m. We'll probably be there for about 2 hours and put some flags on some grave sites and show some, show our respects. You have your hand up, AJ, you had a question?
Yes, sir. I went to both of those services last year. They were lovely. It was wonderful to walk amongst the history of Woodlawn Cemetery and honor those who fought for our rights. I was not aware that Woodlawn also does that for Pride Month, putting pride flags. But yeah, thank you so much. Those events were lovely. The one at the memorial was highly favored and asked from the veterans. I believe Anthony Rivachero and other community members, including myself. It's about time the board did some. Yes, yes, sir.
Right.
It's about time the board did something there in honor of our soldiers. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, any questions, comments? Okay, great. So this concludes the meeting for our Veterans Committee for Bronx Community Board 7. Does anyone else have any other comments that they want to bring up?
Hey, Chad.
Hey, David.
Hey, as I told you, I'll be heading out during the time you have the event, but if there's any prep that you need help with leading up to it, obviously I've already communicated with you that I definitely need to get the stand and wreath that we had gotten from the last event to you before I leave, because I'll be out of country. So I'll definitely get with you on that, and any other preparation or whatever leading up to it, I can help before I leave if it's needed.
Oh, that'll be great. That'll be great. And we probably should try to meet next week if possible, to secure that stuff.
Same here. Same here, Chad.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. I did want to bring something up real quick. Committee members, or actually, members of the board who are on the call, do you recall any of the capital requests that we made? There was actually one that we had that regarded additional funding for Union Community Health Center. Does anyone recall? I had sent something earlier today.
No, nothing in particular. What was the request for?
So
tell it to us again.
It was from the capital expense budget request that we had to put together last September and October. Let me see if I can share it. Let me see if I can share it. Or maybe I should just read it. I think it's probably faster if I just read it. What do you think? Would you rather me share it or should I just read it?
Read it right quickly.
Yeah,
Okay.
just read it.
I'll read it. Yeah, I'm not very fast with the computer, admittedly. So from the register of the community board budget requests for 2024, those requests usually enter the budget in June. So one of the requests was other capital budget requests for Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, where the explanation was providing funding to expand and enhance veteran-based programs with accessibility to medical health care appointments and services. COVID-19 pandemic had increased health needs and limited veterans' ability to travel. Many providers use telemedicine as a means of contact. Funding to provide equipment like Wi-Fi tablets, providing staffing to train veterans on how to use equipment, and provide the means for mobile medical units to do trainings, transport equipment to veterans, and provide a base for veteran enrollment, and provide free dental cleanings and distribute dental kits. So this request was made with assistance from Union Community Health Center, which are not part of the VA. And the agency response was, please contact the Office of Veterans Affairs directly. That was the response. Now, I'm very mixed on that because the VA is such that your benefits, your eligibility for benefits and services is based on your discharge status, whereas other organizations who provide the services do not have that as a criteria. So I just wanted your thoughts on that. Should we present a feedback? I'm prepared to send the feedback questioning the answer. Jean, Toby, Hugo, Emmanuel, anything?
So
Don't have anything yet. I'd have to really like take another deep dive into what the whole thing is again, Chad.
Oh, so it was the request for devices for assisting with telemedicine appointments through Union Community Health Center. Now, if veterans didn't have the resources to make it in person, or if they didn't have internet access, they would be able to have folks train them on how to use the devices and conduct the appointments while they're at home so they can visit their primary care physician and also provide dental resources for dental screenings. The ask was, I want to say, was $100,000 of funding for the assistance of acquiring the equipment. Now, the agency response, because we had asked Department of Health to be in charge of providing an answer, their answer was to contact the VA directly.
So
would this not be better put to some of our elected officials? Because do we know that the VA has a budget that they could spend $100,000 on devices? Should we not be looking further afield? I mean, I think it's a really good idea because I just did a teledoc thing the other day, and it's a great thing to be able to do. You can talk to your healthcare provider, in person practically, because you're talking to them, via Zoom like we're doing right now. And you can get in depth with them because it's like one-to-one. Sometimes when you go to your regular PCP doctor, you got 10 minutes and that's about it. So you get a lot more time to, kind of check in, talk, go over what your concerns are. But I think we need to look a little further afield for the funding. I don't know if the VA would have funding for that, but let's ask them anyway.
Yeah, and just as you mentioned, reaching out to the electeds, I think that's an appropriate response. I just feel that it was dismissive to ask another agency that's unrelated. Toby and then Serial.
So when you talk about the status of vets, we know from what I understand, and I don't know everything regarding it. From what I understand, from what my dad has always told me, you have vets that are honorably discharged and you have vets that are not honorably discharged. And although they are still vets because they served in a war, they don't get the same benefits. So is your ask with Union Hospital referencing those vets particularly?
They reference everyone regardless of status. So that would make it widely available for all veterans regardless of their status.
Okay,
So in
Okay.
that case, the VA would be more limiting.
okay, got you.
Right.
Okay, because the VA typically deals with the vet that has been honorably discharged
Right.
because they have the benefits through them. Okay, so then the ask is really for those groups of folks who had some difficulties and had challenges with their discharge. So I see. So your concern is that Union is dismissing the issue
No,
because telling us to go and ask the Veterans Administration without understanding that you could still be a vet, but your status does not allow you to receive services from the veterans.
not
Hospital.
Union. Union is not dismissing it. The agency that was asked to respond was the Department of Health.
Okay,
Department
okay,
of Health response was reach out to the Office of Veterans Affairs.
got it, got it. Okay,
I just think I don't think it's accurate, in my opinion. And I'm just a private citizen. Syria and then Hugo.
Now that you explained it was a Department of Health, if it was that they want the federal government to pick up the tab. They don't want to pay for nothing. When it
That's
comes to
probably
the
it.
vets, let me tell you, when it comes to the vets, everybody thinks that the federal government should be the sole supplier of information, of money for them, because they serve the country, which of course there should be a bigger budget from the federal government because they got the bigger money to take care of the vets because they did fight in a war for the nation. But individual, like our New York Health Department, they ain't gonna want to pay anything that they can farm off to the federal government. And that's why they told you go ask Big Daddy Veterans Affairs National Division to do it. And that's my opinion, but I'm not on the board.
You might be right. I thought that too, but Hugo and AJ, go ahead.
Yeah, I think a response would be a good thing to do. You clearly wrote the request clearly stated that it's for veteran services. It's a medical service that you requested, so that falls under the Department of Health. The fact that it's for a specific group of people needing help does not mean that the Department of Health can just say, oh, pass it on to the agency that handles that. I mean,
right.
if you had asked something about women's health, they wouldn't pass it off to the Office of Women's Health. Or if it had been about Hispanics, they wouldn't say, please pass it off to the Office of Hispanic Health or anything like that. So yeah, I think they might have looked at the question too quickly and overlooked the fact that it falls under their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Thank you. AJ and Amjad.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I would do this like a hot take. Contact the VA, say here's a group of people you're discriminating against. They have fought for the country. You should provide services. If not, here's some money that should go to this group instead of you. Thank you.
Going for the jugular, AJ.
You have to. These people have fought for our rights. We got to fight for their rights. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Amjad, welcome.
Welcome, everyone. Excuse me. It's been a long day. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to.
Morning's better, by the way.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a little tidbit that right now in the Department of Health, the advocacy regarding veteran health and wellness started here in the Bronx with the Veteran Support Service Network initiative that I had created. And we starting to make headway in certain regards. What I would recommend is that we reach out also to not only DVS, but also to the New York State Department of Veteran Services, right? And have a conversation about advocating for funds to address these issues along with the health department, right? And help them to see and put more, eyes on to help them to see the importance of this issue, especially now. We know that we've been at war for over 20 years and it's continuing in a variety of different ways. So we need to develop a community resiliency plan for veterans' health and wellness. And this is an opportunity to do so. So I think the committee is heading in the right direction. And I think we can do this in a strong collaborative effort. The Bronx VA Hospital has coalitions currently going on. Chad is a part of it, and I would recommend, Chad, we talk to the coalition members to, come together to, to work on this thing as well. I yield the floor. Thank you for listening.
Got you. Thank you. Thank you. And one thing that I like that you mentioned, this would be an opportunity to engage with DVS to see what opportunities can come from it. So we can definitely carry that forth. Any other questions or comments on that? None? Okay. So other than that, I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. It was a great meeting, great dialogue. Just a reminder, our meetings are open to the public and everyone is welcome to attend. Our next meeting will be on the third Wednesday. I'm not sure what that date is. I'll have to look at the calendar, but if it does change, we will let you know. Please take note of the events that we have coming up, and we would like to share with others. Go ahead and do so.
May 17th.
May 17th?
Yeah,
May 17th?
yeah, May 17th.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, May 7th.
Gotcha. So on that note, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I don't think we have any nays here, so I want to thank you, everyone. Tara, Emmanuel, Reagan, David, Dr. Turbin, Pasquale, Sirio, Amjad, Andre, Toby, AJ, Shanaz. Thank you for coming. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your night and hope to talk soon. Take care, be well.
You too. Take care, everyone. Good
Night,
meeting.
all.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.